Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. What do you want your customers to remember after they interact with your content? If you are not sure, changes are you need a message architecture. It ensures your customers get the right message and it helps you and your team create interesting content that brings a message to life. A message architecture starts with creating a message. No surprise there. So let's walk through how to do exactly that. First, define what you want to communicate to your customers. To me, this is really focusing on what will benefit your brand or your company. A good starting point is to review your company's brand, voice, designs, or identity guide. This usually lists characteristics that your company wants to exhibit. For example, when Indeed revamped so TurboTax Day, so choose characteristics such as approachable and insightful. If your company doesn't have such a guide, that's okay. You can take a crack at writing down a few words or phases and ask your marketing colleagues for feedback. And if you work in a large company, you can make this a group exercise. So check out the attitude template. Now let's consider your customers. Define what your customers want or need to hear. This is where you really put yourself in your customer's shoes. I suggest reviewing any customer so journeys, insights, or personas on hand. If nothing like that is available, then check whether any publicly available research or information about your customers or your industry is available. Anything that helps you gain empathy for your customers is great. So then write down your customers' top aspiration, problems to solve, or frequent questions. Strive for 5 to 10 again if you work in large company. You can make this a group, so brainstorming exercise. Check out the attitude, so template. Finally frame what you want to communicate in terms of what your customers want or need to hear. This is where message magic happens. Let's say it's important to your brand to come across as insightful, and let's say your customers are small business owners who don't have a lot of time. A key message for your content marketing might be insight in a jiffy. Once you define the message, you can bring it to life throughout show and tell. So take the message, so insights in a jiffy. You can show it what stories of other customers getting insights quickly, experts giving tips to get insights effectively, and more. You can also just say it occasionally, so this combination of show and tell to me is what makes content marketing so powerful. So make your content marketing clear and compelling, one message at a time. Your content marketing team will love bringing message to life in creative ways. And your customers will find that content hard to resist. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. If you're like most content marketers, you have more than one message to convey, fantastic, but you're also at risk for what I call message mayhem. That's when you have so much you're trying to communicate. So you confuse your content marketing team and your customers to avoid this risk and worse. Organize your messages into a message architecture. So let's walk forward how to turn a bunch of message into a useful architecture. I have used this approach successfully with organizations ranging from small nonprofits to huge conglomerate. So, and you can do this yourself or get a few colleges together to do it with you. First, write each message you want to convey on an index, a card, or a post-it note. Strive for at least 6 messages and more than 20. So, then group the message together into themes, or categories. I find it's helpful to take a few messages at this. In your first pass, so just go with your instinct, don't think too hard about it. In your second pass, take a look, show at how big or small the group are. If the group is big compared to the others, think about breaking it down into more than one group. If the group is small, think about combining it with another group. So, if you're doing this activity with colleges, I suggest you each do the grouping individually and then compare results. Talk what where the similarities and differences are, then reach a consensus. Finally, decide on an overarching message for each theme or category. You might find one of the message in group works well as an overarching message, or you might need to write a new message. And if you're doing this with colleges, consider drafting the overarching message so individually, then share the drafts and vote on which message best conveys the theme or category. Then review your new message architecture. Ask yourself or the group, do these groups make sense? Do these overarching messages reflect or brand or prioritize or customer needs? Make any tweaks to the architecture and don't forget to keep your hard work. Take a picture of the final result and write the details in spreadsheet or document. A quick tip if you work for a very large or global company. You might need more than one message architecture to meet the needs of very different marketers or geographic region, and that's okay. For example, I helped the medical technology company, Kerner Corporation, develop message for region on ranging from Europe to Middle East. So don't create amazing messages. Only fall victim to message mayhem. Avoid confusing your team and your customers. Bring order with a message architecture and you'll bring more success to your content marketing. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. So you have a message architecture, you think it's great, but what do your customers think? Message testing helps you find out. So let's walk what message testing so you can be confident. So your message will resonate with your customers. So let's focus on qualitative testing, which is interviewing a small number of customers about the message. First, recruit at least 5 customers to participate. Be sure to pick customers who represent the customer segment you're trying to reach. If you wanna message to resonate with more than one segment, then aim for 3 to 5 customers from each segment. You can invite customers to participate by email in your store or office at a trade show or event, or really anywhere you're interacting with customers. Consider offering a reward for participating, such as a gift card or free product or discount. So after recruiting is underway, plan to test logistic. This starts with drafting a testing protocol. So write down questions you wanna ask customers. Also write down tips for yourself or whoever will conduct the interview. For example, you might want to include possible follow-up questions. And to help, I have provided a list of questions in the exercise files for this course to get you started. The next step is to decide where you will conduct the test. A e-conference room can work well, but if your company already has a market research or user experience lab, try to reserve it, and if you have two, you can conduct the test remotely with video conferencing like Skype or Zoom to wrap up the planning. Schedule the testing sessions, so I recommended scheduling no more than that in one day. And also schedule a dry run session where you go for the session with a friend or co-worker who acts like the customer. Finally, conduct the message testing and review the feedback. Start with the dry run and make any tweaks to the testing protocol. For example, you might want to change the wording of a question to make sure it's clear, but consider having a coworker help you conduct the tests, so one of you can ask the questions and the other can take notes and help record the sessions. I recommend recording at last the audio. And after each session, don't forget to give each customer their reward. So when you have feedback from 5 customers in the same segment, review it for common dams. Then consider whether to adjust your message architecture. So, for example, I once conducted such testing where customers commented the message sounded cold, so we adjusted the tone. The changes you might have to make might be different, but there will be changes. Every time I have done testing like this, it has resulted in last one change that improve the message architecture. Also, consider creating a brief report of your testing to share with your team, stakeholders, and manager. It will go a long way towards strengthen their confidence in your content marketing program. So don't guess whether customers will love your message architecture, so ask them. Message testing will yield feedback that will help you refine message until they resonate. Those messages will take your content marketing from me to magnificent. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Let's say you have a message architecture that you and your co-workers like, but you want to be absolutely sure your customers like it too. You might wonder, is there a way we can test our message with lots of customers? Well, wonder no more. The answer is quantitative, message testing. So let's talk about how you can use quantitative message testing. As you might guess from the name, the whole point of this testing is to get your message in front of large quantity of customers and to do it quickly. So first let's talk about tools to do this testing. You will need a survey or remote testing tool. Your company might already have one, such as Qualities. If not, many free and affordable options are available. Two I like are SurveyMonkey and user testing. Next, you will need to find people to participate in your testing. The most cost-effective way to do this is to invite your customers. You can do that by email or by inviting them when they visit your website, or you can do a combination. Your survey or remote testing tool can help you set up the details. It's faster and easier than ever before. I like to aim for at least 100 people who represent the type of customer you wanna reach. So if you don't have an email list and don't have much traffic coming to your website, then you'll need to consider recruiting specific people to participate. This approach is significantly more expensive, but it gives you a higher degree of control over who participates, so it can be worth the insight you gain. SurveyMonkey and user testing both offer recruiting service. Your company also might have relationship with market research firm that can help you recruit. Finally, you will need to set up the testing and use the result. I like setting up the test as a series of coaches, create a series of questions that ask customer to choose which company or product they prefer based on the message. Make the answer variations of your message so architecture. Include your preference along with variations that you are considered along the way. Pull those rough drafts out of the trash, so to speak, and use them to help fill out your testing answer options. If you have so many messages, you can't test them all. Focus on the ones you or your coworkers repeated the most to help jumpstart your setup. Check out the worksheet attached. It also includes an example. Now, as with any testing, it's important you understand how to make use of the results so you should learn from this testing two things. One is what messages are validated clearly. When customers overwhelmingly prefer the message, you include in your message architecture. You can launch them with confidence. The second is what messages are invalidated clearly. In other words, you will see whether a message bombs, and if you plan to use the message, you will need to go back to the drawing board. You can consider what other message options customers preferred as you revise the message. So, don't launch your new message architecture on a wing and a prayer. Use quantitative message testing to get feedback from lots of customers. And make any final tweaks to your message. Then you will launch a message architecture so that your customers will love. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Think about one of your favorite stories, what you love it, so I bet one of the reasons is the story for loves. When you need or watch the story, you believe it won some level. It makes sense to you. The great news in you can make your content marketing flow like one of your favorite stories. But there is catch. It's not easy. That's where storylines can help. So I'm gonna cover what a storyline is and how you can architect storylines to make your content marketing more organized and compelling. A storyline is essentially the plot, or what happens from the beginning to the middle to the end. I think of it as the Twitter version of a story. One way to jumpstart your storyline is to use a pattern. Sometimes it's called a narrative pattern. I would like to highlight two patterns I have found helpful for content marketing. The first pattern is simply chronological order. This is telling the story in the order events happened. One example is telling the story of your company or brand. Another example is creating a countdown to a big event or launch. And still another is coming of age, where your company or an employee adapts by learning an important lessons. As most companies today have to adapt faster to digital disruption, the coming of age pattern will be incredibly handy to you. The second pattern I often use is problem solution or before after. This is when you show the problem, the solution, and have the solution made an impact. You can use this pattern in many different forms. It works well in serious case study, but it also can take more light-hearted forms. One of my favorite funny examples is a video Cisco released a few years ago, and Valentine is Day. The problem was finding a last-minute gift express your love. The solution was wait for it discuss ACI so 1000 yes offering a 15,000 network rather as a solution to Valentine Day is ridiculous. So ridiculous that this video went viral and give millions of people a few moments of delight. Whether or not you buy network routers, you left the video with positive feelings about Cisco, the marketing great Roy here. Williams once said, a good story increases the sellability of an IT without increasing its actual value. You can tell a good story by architecting storylines like coming of age or problem solution. You will make your content marketing more compelling. And don't be surprised if your sales skyrocket too. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. My favorite superhero right now is Captain Marvel. Did you ever have favorite superhero? Changes are you did because superheroes pervade everything from classic lecture to box office smashes. Many people love stories with a superhero. So what does this have to do with content marketing? Well, you can use superheroes in your stories, and one of the best ways to do so is simply this: make your customer to hero. Now, I don't mean give your customers a cape. Let's walk forth to techniques to position your customers as heroes. One technique is what I call save the day. This is when you explain how your customer rescued their company or their own customers from threat. For instance, FreshBooks offers videos of many small business customers who saved their customers from struggle or even failure by making their accounting task more organized and efficient. A second technique is what I call make the world better. This is when you explain how your customer is making a difference is business, society, or the environment. For example, Airbnb magazine sends travel reporters to interesting Airbnb homes. Recently, the magazine told the story of huge home outside Mexico City shaped like a snake. That alone is delightful, but the reporter also uncovered deeper stories. These stories position the home's architect as a champion of organic architecture and Mexican culture. Your customers might champion something different, but guarantee you they are trying to make the world better. Find out how and tell that story. Now, the key to both techniques is emphasis. What I mean by that is the story are not about your company. So they are about your customers. Your company or your products and services might play a role in each story, but the customer is the hero. Going back to the Airbnb example, the snake house story mentions its availability on Airbnb very subtly. This focus is on the amazing house and the architecture behind it. So, Captain Marvel once said, the universe is so big, it has no center. We are the center. Make your customers the center of your content marketing universe. Share how they saved the day or made the world a better place. Your customers will love you for making them heroes, and they will inspire others to become your new customers. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Employees are company's greatest asset. So that's a quote by former Xerox CEO Annie Malkery, and that's absolutely true for your content marketing. You see employees make compelling heroes in your stories. So let's walk forward to techniques for incorporating employees in your content marketing stories. One technique is what I call save the day. This is when you explain how your employees rescued the company or your customers from a threat. Tennessee Valley Authority, or TVA for short, does an excellent job with this. TVA regularly shares stories about how its employees have responded to the environmental problems like flooding and pollution, as well as energy problems like power outages and shortages. Another example is General Electric, who share stories about employees overcoming complex technical or engineering challenges. One recent example is a video about a new type of 3D printing for manufacturing aerospace parts. This isn't a shiny, happy video. So, the video examples these frustrations and failures on the way success, and who can't relate to that struggle. A second technique is what I call make the world better. This is when you explain how your employees are making a positive difference in the world. For example, the Home Depot regularly features employees who are veterans, who lead responsible searching, who serve their communities, and who are pursuing inspiring goals like Olympic competition. And I'm just scratching the surface. Now your employees might care about completely different things, but I have no doubt that they are trying to make the world better. Unlock these stories in your content marketing. The key to both techniques is the connecting your employees' stories to your company. So your company values include subtly reminders or mentions of your company values with the story. For example, when the Home Depot tells a story related to a veteran, subtly mention their commitment serve veterans by hiring military, donating to non-profits that aid veterans, and more. Your values might be different, but connecting them to your employees' stories will be just as compelling. So, content marketing is one more way employees are a great asset to your company. So, make employees the heroes by showing how to save the day or make the world a better place. Your employees will welcome the appreciation, and your customers will see your company values come to life. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. A story is an argument, and an argument is a story. That's a brilliant statement by Robert Rose of Content Marketing Institute. So what argument and stories have in common is persuasion. So if you ever lost interest in story because you didn't buy it or you didn't find it compelling, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's review 2 persuasive techniques to make your stories more compelling. The first technique is identification. It comes out of persuasion, so psychology, and it's the phenomenon of person relating to another person. Now, you might wonder, what does this mean for my content marketing stories? It means you need to include at least one character that your customers can identify with. Now, identification can be shallow, such as if you have blonde hair. You might identify with me because I have blonde hair. Identification also can be deep, such as identifying with someone's situation or values. For instance, I have no idea what it's like to fly in space with supernatural power, but I relate to the condescension Captain Marvel experienced in her quest to reach her full potential. One of my favorite examples of identification and content marketing is Rie, a sporting goods retailer. Rie, so through its brand, Rie creates a steady stream of content around environmental concerns, from articles to videos and podcasts. Rie event turned Black Friday into a case in its own right with the Opt Outside campaign, making it a day that's as much about being thankful for the outdoors as it is about shopping. So let's move on to a second technique, the persuasive appeals everyone from the ancient. Because Greeks to researcher Robert Clyden have studied persuasive, they all agree. You have to appeal to the both logic and emotion. Logic is essentially reasoning. When you make a claim, you need to be able to back it up. You can support claims with evidence such as facts and testimonials. As a simple example, Ria claims it is the first US-based travel company to become 100% carbon neutral. The evidence is that Ria buys credits to support renewable energy like solar and wind. These credits compensate for Ria's carbon emission. Emission is more straightforward, so to understand but harder to actually execute. It involves tapping into people's emotions to hold their interest, gain their sympathy, or motivate them to act. Choose your words and visuals strategically to convey certain moods. Techniques such as hyperbole, personification, smiles, and metaphors help to create the personality or feel of your content. Two very different examples are Bills and HowStuffWorks.com. This is sassy, whereas HowStudyWork is analytical. So, when it comes to content marketing, a story isn't just a story, it's also an opportunity to persuade your customers with the techniques of identification, logic, and emotion. You can punch up your persuasive power. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. When you think of a story, what comes to mind? Perhaps a movie or a novel or a long news article? Well, that is certainly correct. But stories can more in many other forms too. When you create a mix of story forms, you can better reach the right customers with the right information. So I'm gonna walk through a few different story forms and how you can use them in your content marketing. First, let's talk about short story forms. I think of these as story bites. Sometimes a test is all you need or all you have time for. A few examples are quotes, infographics, and teasers. Humans of New York started as a photo blog of street portraits accompanied by direct quotes, and it's now world famous for its simple story and image format. Okay, let's move on the same interesting long story forms. I like to think of these as story snacks or meals, where you need more substance. Longer stories can take shape in ebooks, white papers, long articles, videos that are more than a minute long, and interactive infographics or data visualizations. The New York Times does a great job with dynamic visualizations such as interactive maps and graphs that cover topics ranging from typical Uber wait times to political and economic data and even Game of Thrones characters. As another example, Hootsuite produces an annual report on digital trends that is read by millions of people globally and often cited by mainstream publications. Now, here is the fun part. Let's review clever ways to use short and long story forms together. You can create a long form story and then turn big so chunks of the into short form stories, or you can do the opposite. You can create a series of short forms stories and then eventually combine them into one long form story. For example, you could combine a series of interviews into a longer narrative, as Pew Research recently did after collecting 1,000 quotes from Americans about the meaning of life. Or you could pull out interesting individual facts from an infographic and create little standalone snippets to share throughout your social media channels. So a story doesn't always have to be long to be effective. Mix up your story forms to make the most of your content marketing. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Imagine this, your customers view your company as a trusted advisor. They turn to you for advice, guidance, and even inspiration. And they do so often. Sounds pretty great, right? But how to heck can you, as a content marketer, get your customers to view your company as a trusted advisor? The answer is what? Leadership. Let's review what thought leadership is and how you can start to use it in your content marketing. Thought leadership is content that offers useful expertise, insight, or even training about topics your customers care about. I find that highly effective thought leadership also is unique. It's not like anything your competitors or the media offer. For example, not offer amazing thought leadership about what we eat and drink. Mott's network of independent food artisans offer unique perspectives and in-depth knowledge that you won't find, say, on Food Network. So to start creating thought leadership content, you need to figure out what topics to cover. You wanna find the sweet spot between topics your customers care about and topics your company has expertise, data, or insight to advise. For instance, Vent provides point-of-sale software to retailers. The resource on it's the touch on all things retail. From story layout to inventory management and e-commerce, as well as broader sales, marketing, and customer experience tips that is customers can benefit from. As another example, MyFitnessPal helps users on their wellness journey with healthy recipes, exercise tips, and nutritional insights. Those are all natural topics that align with its brand mission. Here is a topic planning tip. Sometimes you have to frame the topic you can advise on in terms of the topic that interests your customers. In other words, from where the new knowledge you have to offer customers in terms of what they already know, meet them where they are. For example, HubSpot caters to readers seeking step-by-step guides on specific topics, such as how to post GIFs on Instagram or how to rank highly on Google, complete with include templates. They lay out a plan that is easy to follow for even the greenest of digital marketers. NST.com CEO Margaret Georges once said that. A trusted advisor encourages you to look at a problem or opportunity from multiple angles. That's exactly what you can do for your customers with thought leadership. Frame your expertise, advice, and guidance in terms of topics your customers care about, and don't be surprised if your customers keep coming back for more. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. What's the number of reasons customers view content as not useful? My research shows it's the content seems too basic. Customers feel it doesn't have the right details or enough substance. What this means for you is if you don't offer the right depth in your thought leadership, so content, customers will not find it useful. So I'm gonna share 3 approaches to cover your thought leadership topics. Well, you can use one approach or a mix of these approaches. First, let's talk about the newsroom approach. This is when you provide timely updates and commentary on events, changes or trends related to your topics. For example, when the Europe started to enforce the privacy regulation, Milchip provided useful content explaining how to make email comply. The key to the newsroom approach is timely, quickly put something out there, and you can always follow up with more. So a second approach to cover thought leadership is the lab approach. This is when you share insights about your topics based on your data, experiments, or other research. For instance, every year content science assembles so 50 critical content facts based on our research, as well as research by others, as another example in core. So occasionally shares fascinating and useful research such as the history of messaging. What I like about the skills lab approach is the great enrich. You can mine insights and develop lots of unique content from a few sets of data or experiments, and you can even use the insights in the third approach to covering thought leadership. So let's talk about this approach. It's what I call the academy. This is providing training in some fashion about the topics you cover. For instance, the social media management. So Tool Hootsuite offers excellent courses about social media marketing topics. And another example is Scanger Electric's Energy University, which is targeted at professionals working in energy efficiency or data centers. What I like about the academy approach is you can potentially monetize it, so you can license the content to online training platforms, or you can charge customers a fee or a combination. So when you take on thought leadership, don't leave your customers in the silo and of the pool. Take your customers on deep dive into topics they care about. Your customers will not only view your content as useful, but they will trust your company more. As Stephen Covey once said, when the trust account is high, communication is easy, instant, and effective. The trust that your content builds will take your customer relationships to whole new level. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Have you ever come across some content that seemed useful, but it wasn't relevant enough for your situation? You're not alone. In my research, a top complaint about content is it is not relevant. The content seems intended for someone else. If customers feel your thought leadership isn't relevant, they will stop engaging with it. So I'm gonna share 2 techniques for making your content as relevant as possible. The first technique is to imagine your customers asking these questions. So, what and of course answer that question clearly. For example, a piece from Beat company, Glossier, leads with the headline which skincare products on Amazon are actually good. You immediately know what to expect based on the title alone, and because Glossier specializes in skincare and they report, so in an aesthetical for the article, readers are likely to trust its recommendations. In fact, Glossier, the brand, was born from a blog. In this case, content actually came first. In most cases, you will want to answer that questions upfront so your customers know immediately whether the content is relevant. If not, they can move on quickly to content that is more relevant. The last thing you want is for your customers to engage with your content and then feel like they wasted their time. The second technique is to provide clear relevance cues. I call this technique the more specific, the more traffic. Don't be shy about saying who your content is for. There are a few ways to do this. The Home Depot provides clear labels on its guides about project difficulty and amount for time. If you're an amateur at home improvement projects, you can find easy, short projects. If you're more experienced, you can find complex, longer projects. Another way is to name your intended audience in the tagline or description. Charles Schwab, for example, uses this tagline for its magazine on investing strategies and ideas for the Carlos Schwab community. That's good start because it's clear the magazine is for people with a T to Charles Schwab, but it's still pretty vague. TD Emirati takes it further by specifying their magazine is for active traders, more specific, much more terrific. So don't let your thought leadership fade into irrelevance. Make your content pertinent by answering the so what question and help customers understand quickly how the content relates to them with clear cues. The more relevant your content seems, so the more your customers will engage with it, and that's where your thought leadership will have the change to shine. Hey everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Take a moment and think about one of your favorite learning experiences. What made it great? Maybe you couldn't put your finger on it, but there was something different about that experience. Well, what made it great doesn't have to be a mystery. Instructional design offers handy insights grounded in psychology and practice, and I recommended using these insights to make your thought leadership content an amazing experience. So let's review 3 instructional design principles that will take your thought leadership from good to great. The first principle is repetition. If you want customers to remember an important point or idea, you'll need to repeat it and reinforce it at least 3 times. The fun part I found is doing this without boring. So your customers, there are lots of possibilities, so I will list several. Here it goes. You can say the same idea without using the exact same words. You can repeat the key points in your content title and in your description. If your content is an article, you can reinforce the points in section headings and visuals. If your content is a video, you can reinforce the points made in the audio with visuals that repeat it. You can incorporate quotes from other people who repeat or reinforce your main point. You can bodily repeat a word or phase to make an exaggerate point. So this can make for a humorous moment. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Okay, let's move on to another principle called interactivity. This is all about getting people engaged with the learning. You can do this by engaging your customers' senses, such as offering not only articles to read, but also video to watch and audio to listen. You also can add interactivity by having customers to something with the learning. Examples include answering a question, compiling an interactive quiz or assessment, or completing a task or worksheet. Whether you choose to do it doesn't have to be long or complex, just enough to help customers apply what they are learning. For example, many LinkedIn learning courses offer downloadable worksheets and templates. And finally, let's talk about the principle of feedback. I think of this as giving people cues about their progress. This feedback can be simple, such as congratulations your customers for finishing an article or completing a task. Or the feedback can be more specific and personalized. For instance, after a customer completes an assessment, you can offer suggestions tailored so do the customer's answers with Beat Coach. Premium is an excellent example of giving customers a full range of feedback. You earn kudos for basic tasks, such as entering your fitness level or completing a program, and you can get highly customized exercise programs, training advice, and insights to help you understand your progress. The key for this principle in content marketing framing to the feedback in terms of progress. You don't want customers to feel stupid, but you also don't want them to feel they wasted their time. Meet your customers where they are and point out how your thought leadership helps them move forward. So, turn your thought leadership content into a great learning experience. Repeat key points, add interactivity, and provide feedback. The more your customers learn from you, the more they will respect you, and that respect will make your company's reputation soar. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Psychologist Daniel Gilbert once said, the secret of happiness is variety, but the secret of variety, like the secret of all space, is knowing when to use it. The same goes for thought leadership content. Offer a variety of formats to keep your content interesting and your customers happy. So let's review 3 effective thought leadership formats and when to use them. First, let's talk about the magazine, which actually is a collection of several formats. A magazine can offer in-depth feature articles, opinionated, so columns, news, so summaries, interviews, and more in digital or print. I like the magazine because it's more polished than a blog, and it allows you to have enough space to bring them or an insight to life. The magazine also can bring together text and visuals in powerful ways. Dollar Shave Club is a great example of using content to build a community beyond just selling razor. It has cement its place as lifestyle brand for men with a print magazine, sent with every razor. This content covers not only health and grooming facts and stats, but also relationships, careers, and more to help members take better care of their minds and their bodies. Another format to consider is the podcast. The podcast is a great way to catch people while they are communicating or traveling. So, the podcast is well suited for exploring topics and deep thought interviews and discussion. For instance, financial firm Charles Schwab produced a couple of different podcasts, Financial Decoder, which devotes each episode to a single financial decisions and its consequence, and so Choiceology, which explores behavioral economics and the traps that can lead expensive mistakes. As another example, accounting SaaS platform Zero caters to both techie and entrepreneurial. So, listeners with its podcast, the podcast also can be great format to experiment with a fun or humorous tone. Take stuff you should know. So this podcast demystifies everything from CEOs to the Secret Service, all while keeping the web light and accessible. And lastly, let's talk about the training course, which can be a collection of formats. I find a mix of video, interactive activities, or quizzes and slideshows can make training courses quite engaging. A good example is HubSpot's Training Academy, which offers certifications in sales, service, and marketing. Its models integrate all these content formats to cater to variety learning styles and keep users engaged. So, spice up your thought leadership with a variety of formats like magazine, podcast, or training course. Your content will make your customers so happier, smarter, and wanting more. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Did you know email subscripts are 3 times more likely to share your content than visitors from other sources? Did you know it's much easier to deliver personalized content via email than social media? Email is very much your content marketing friend, and I'm only scratching the surface. So I'm gonna explain how to grow your email list and use that list wisely. First, make subscription the list instant and easy. Describe how the email will benefit your customers and how often customers can expect to hear from you. I recommended sending at least one of email each month. To make signing up easy, I recommended offering a few ways to do so. The most effective ways is to enrich customers who are already consuming your content with a pop-up form. Tools such as Option Master makes this easy. It's also smart offer a way to sign up for your email list on your company's content page if you're trying to reach a new type of customer. Then consider creating a landing page with the sign up form and then advertise your content and your email list on social media marketing. Tools such as HubSpot, MailChimp, and a Weber make this easier than ever before. So, now that your customers can subscribe, be sure to welcome them. Set up a welcome email that makes a great first impression. Provide a simple of fantastic content that your customers can expect to see with each email. Make sure the welcome email arrives the same day that a customer subscribes. You want to reward your customers for taking the time to sign up. For example, when someone signs up to Map My Run, they receive a welcome email introducing key features and links to tips. It sets the tone for an ongoing relationship. Finally, send useful email regularly and occasionally wow your customers with something special. Think of each regular email as an appointment with your customers. It's an opportunity to meet and exceed their expectations for content. Of course, you'll want to share some of your latest and greatest content. Also consider adding something exclusively to your email. For example, in the content screens monthly email, I offer a short essay that's not available anywhere else. Don't underestimate the power of email. Grow your audience and deepen its loyalty. Make it easy for customers to subscribe and reward them with a warm welcome, and then follow up with regular emails they won't want to miss. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Let's say you love your customers. You wish you had more just like them. Well, cloning is not an option. So, how do you find new customers who are like the ones you have? The answer is lookalike audience. So let's review what lookalike audience are and how you can use them in your content. Marketing. Facebook first coined the term lookalike audience to describe a new advertising feature. As you might guess, the term refers to finding more people who like your audience. Since then, other social media and marketing tools have added lookalike features, and that's great news for you because those features make it faster and easier than ever to promote your content and grow your audience. So let's review how to use the lookalike audience feature in Facebook and LinkedIn. You start by identifying an existing group such as visitors to your website or a customer email list. On Facebook, you can also create a lookalike audience based on your existing page, fan base. The Facebook and LinkedIn algorithms then go to work to find user interest match those criteria. You can then also narrow your audience further. For example, you might want to refine that audience by criteria such as job function or industry. And if you run into any questions or problems, Facebook and LinkedIn offer great instructions and support. Finally, let's touch on some emerging lookalike. So, emerging lookalike audience and features. Mailchimp offers a lookalike audience feature for its podcast. Print is far from dead, and marketing platforms such as HubSpot, Mailchimp, and Pardot make it easy to use lookalike audience features in Facebook. Instead of logging in the tools of different tools, you can do it all in one place, and this in an exciting time for marketing technology. So improvements happen daily. So watch for the tools you use to add more features around lookalike audience. So to get more customers just like yours, you don't have to splice gene. You can find them using lookalike audience features in social media and more. It's easier than ever to connect that right people with your amazing content. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. When you want to know the answer to the question, what's the first thing you do? If you say search Google, you're definitely not alone. 19% of searches are conducted via Google. So when customers ask Google a question about topics you cover, your content should be part of Google's results. That's called search engine optimization or SEO for short. You probably hear about some SEO basics when you start your content marketing program. Today, I'm gonna to explain 3 advanced techniques to grow your audience. The first technique is to give strong signals of your repetition. This will help Google prioritize your content and its listening. The good news is Google states publicly. So how they judge repetition. You can read all the details yourself in Google's content quality guidelines. The gives it to show the credibility of your company and of your offers. Example include awards, so recognition reviews and mentions by respected professional associations, non-profit research centers, and Wikipedia. Mention these credentials in descriptions about your content marketing and about your others. If your content is about topics to Google, so consider very serious such as finance or health, your content will come under even more scrutiny. So these credentials are even more important for you. So let's move on to the second SEO technique. Cultivate links to your content from other websites that have strong repetition. Typically, websites for well-known brands, associations, media, and influencers work well. I find these links will naturally happen if you do a good job of promoting your content. These links not only drive traffic to your site, but also signal to Google that you have great content. So, your content will be more likely to display at the top of Google search results. You can check where you stand on these links. With tools like Moz, if you find you don't have many of these links, then promote your content more frequently. Also consider reaching out to a few websites to make them aware of the great content you offer and how it will interest their audiences. You also can offer for them to republish some of your content and include a link to original search. If you do that, be sure website uses so canonical URL so Google knows your original content search. The third technique is the offer same content in question and transfer format as both text and video. These formats are key to mobile phones and home assistants like Amazon Alexa. So Google Home and Apple Home put imagine your customers asking a question using voice, command, and then device reading the answer back. Your content could be the answer. Google prioritizes video results for mobile devices, especially videos on YouTube. 70% of searches so will be on mobile device by 2020. And if your company competes in any way with Amazon, video is a great way to sidestep the e-commerce giant. Google compete in many ways with Amazon and Google owns YouTube. As a result, you don't see many Amazon videos there. So to grow your audience, take your SEO from so to super. Signal your repetition, build links back to your content, and offer content is formats for mobile and home assistants. That way, when customers ask a question, your content will be there, ready to advise. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. How do you get your great content in front of more people like your customers? Publishing it on your website and promoting it over email and social media helps, but there is still more than you can do, and it's called content distribution. So I'm gonna walk through how you can take advantage of content distribution to expand your content marketing. But First, let's review what content distribution is. If you did a search right now on the term, you would see many articles echoing each other, and they would say content distribution is owned, earned, and paid media. In other words, owned is putting the content on your website. Earned is customer share, is a link to your content on LinkedIn, and paid is your ad for some content on Facebook. I find this definition outdated and confusing. It doesn't distinguish between promoting and distribution. So content, in my view, content distribution is about delivering the content itself. And as your content marketing program matures, you can make your content distribution more sophisticated. So one way to expand your content distribution is that listens to other websites or publications with an audience similar to yours. This is called sometimes content syndications. For instance, American Marketing Associations has licensed some content from my online magazine, Content Science Review, and Content Science Review has licensed some content from CMO.com. By Adobe as another example, the Newsgrid Insights blog publishes licensed content from AdGive, Fast Company, and others. In all these examples, licensing helped expand the content reach. Another way to grow your content distribution is to offer a new format that would work well in new distribution channels. And if your content marketing has been successful so far, it won't be hard to find a great partner if you need it. For that partner was the Panoply Podcast Network to produce a CV podcast called The Message. As another example, teamed up with Hearts magazines on Uncommon Path, a quarterly print magazine that builds on is extensive blog. Joining force with experts in audio and print production enable these brands to take their content to next level. So if you're serious about expanding the reach of your content marketing, get serious about content distribution, find new ways to deliver the content itself. Explore opportunities to license your content and to offer it in new formats suited for new platforms, and get ready to see your audience grow. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Technology executive Marissa Mayer once said, "The future is personalization. It is future that is quickly becoming now." And you can take advantage of it to make your content marketing more powerful. To help you start, I'm gonna walk through 3 key elements of personalizing content experiences. The first element is data about your customers. This data can fall into a few categories. One is demographics, such as age. Another category is preferences, such as interest customers select in their profile. And a third is behavioral data, such as what your customers have bid. So if you don't have much of the data available right now, then consider adding a customer profile to your content marketing experience so you can gather this data. And effective example is HubSpot. To access content like ebooks, customers give HubSpot their contact details and other professionals information like the name and size of their employer. The second element of content personalization is data about your content. I also call this content intelligence. This is understanding how your content performs and why. For personalization, focus on understanding what content, topics, and formats resonate with what types of customers at what point in their journey. See whether any patterns emerge. For instance, infographics may be popular with beginners, while webinars may be more suited to users with a deeper understanding of the subject. The third element is logic to drive the personalization. I sometimes call this applying the Amazon effect to your content. Amazon offers highly personalized suggestions, recommendations, messages, and more for products. You want to do that for your content, and logic is how you do it. At its essence, logic is an if-then statement that can guide your content management or development team as they code the personalization. For instance, if you visit an article on Content Science Review, you will get suggestion to visit another article about the topic, another article by the same author, and article about a related topic. So personalization is a powerful way to connect the right customers with the right content. Assess what data you have. Then start using it to tailor content, suggestion, and more for your customers. When you personalize, your content marketing takes a huge leap toward reaching its potential. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. The World Wide Web is doubling in size every 2 years. There's a lot of content for your customers to wait for. Instead of making your customers navigate or search, bring content to your customers for personalization. So let's take a look at 3 ways personalization can make your content easier for your customers to discover. One way is to send your customers an email with suggested content. You can base the suggestion on who they are or their preferences or their past behavior. For instance, after a subscriber to Gather's research portal visits content, Gartner sends an email with suggestion for related articles with a day. This is a great way to keep your customers coming back to your content too. Another approach to personalizing content discovery is to recommend content on your website or mobile app. Again, you can base the suggestion on who they are or their preferences or their past behavior. Take a cue from outstanding media experiences like Harvard Business Review, Netflix, and Hulu. All of these experiences include promoted recommendations. In fact, the majority of Netflix interface is recommendations based on the customer's preferences and viewing history. Searching and traditional navigation are much less promoted. And a third way is to send customers a reminder or insight by the text or email. A functional interaction can become something much more. For example, automation tool Zapier sends a nudge to new customers who haven't set up any integrations yet. This nudge secretes use case and offers relevant case studies to inspire using Zapier the way similar customers have. So your customers face more content than ever more. Make finding your content easier for personalization. When you connect the right content with the right customers, your content marketing will have a huge impact. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Every piece of content you create should spur customers to feel, think, or do something in response. If your content doesn't engage customers, they won't consume or retain your message, and your content marketing won't have much impact. The good news is personalization can make your content much more engaging. So let's look at 3 places you can harness personalization to boost engagement. The first place is your website. As your customers engage with your content, you can tailor to experience so they keep engaging. For example, L'Oréal Paris collects information about visitors as they browse, such as a skin type of hair color. The website then displays relevant how-to content based on that knowledge. You also can take a cue from media websites to customize your home page based on customers' history and music buff. So might see concert review headlines first, while a news junkie sees political headlines in a similar way. You can prioritize the display of content based on what likely interests your customers. So now let's turn to email, which is a great way to engage your customers and drive them back to your website. You can segment your email list so it's easier to tailor content in your emails. For instance, you could segment your list by geographic location or by rule or by other characteristics. And a third place to personalize content for engagement is in a mobile application. 96% so of Americans own smartphone. So making this an unrelated medium reach people with relevant content. Again, I think marketers can take a cue from media here. Consider the weather channel. When a hurricane or snowstorm hits, people hide straight to the weather channel mobile app. But what about sunny days? Not so much. So the weather channel decided to delight and engage app users by delivering personalized content for more types of weather and for weather holidays like the countdown to an eclipse. The result was increased performance across their priority metrics such as visits per user and retention. So if your content marketing isn't on your company's mobile app, consider adding it. One of the most effective ways to do that is personalization on your website, email, and mobile application. When customers engage often, your content marketing will have an impact that lasts. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Wouldn't it be awesome to delight your customers so much you make them say, wow? Well, you can do exactly that thanks to personalization. When you have personalization basics in place, you can start to create now moments. So, to help you think of ideas, I'm gonna review 3 types of wow moments. One type of wow moment is the year in review. When customers engage with your company and your content throughout the year, you learn a lot about them. You can use what you learn to deliver to brief report or retrospective to your customers, and you can time this at the on of the calendar year or on an anniversary data such as the day your customers so subscribed. For instance, Boomerang sends out a year-end email that recap how much time users have saved using its service and how many emails they have scheduled. If your customers interact with your company and content often, then you can do this type of review more often. Fitbit, for example, sends an email called a week and review. So let's turn to another type of wow moment, a big accomplishment. When customers do something great, give them kudos. If you turn your thought leadership content into training or an academy, you have lots of opportunity to congratulate your customers. For instance, the Shopify Academy offers a number of free courses on building a profitable business and encourages learners every step of the way. And finally, let's talk about the third type of wow moment, an amazing insight, offer effect benchmark, or suggestion that's both useful and highly relevant to your customers. And to it an opportunity moment, let's repeat. So, the system serves up timely insights such as the fact that walking is linked in to longer life expectancy and recommends workouts that adapt and evolve based on an individual's recorded activity. So, take a cue from Fitbit. Use personalization to craft a list on special moment. In your content marketing, you will reward your customers for sharing more about themselves with you. And don't be surprised if your delighted customers say, wow. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Content marketing is the ultimate team sports. As your program grows, so will your team. If you manage your team well, your content marketing will achieve more than you thought possible. So I'm sharing the tips to manage your team. The first tip is to define a clear vision. In my survey and interviews with nearly 2,000 content professionals, vision emerged as top quality desired in content leader. So take time to consider where your content marketing program is gonna end. Communicate that your team. For instance, when David Bieber established the Marriott Content Studio, he declared the vision as being the Red Bull of travel. And by the way, if you haven't checked out Red Bull Media, I highly recommend it. Is a great example of content marketing. Let's turn to the second tip for managing your content marketing. So, team, communicate progress in achieving the vision or goal. To book the progress principle, so outlines lots of research explaining why and how things progress motivates people, and I guarantee it will motivate your content team. So take the time to celebrate small wins and big milestones. Also give your team access to data about the impact of their content on your customers. I also call this content intelligence. When your team sees that their efforts make a difference to your company and to your customers, their performance will know no bounds. The third tip is to cultivate trust in your team as they make progress. My research found that trust is a top success factor for content teams. Your teams needs to feel they have a safe place to explore creative ideas and solutions to your problems. Teach your team members to give and receive feedback on content in constructive ways. Show that you trust your team by not micromanaging them. And it's important for your team to feel if they try an ambitious idea and fail, you have their back. Also, advocate for your team with stakeholders. You are the ambassador for content marketing at your company. How cool is that? You represent the team to so in a way that makes your team proud. So there is no I in content to take your content marketing to next level. You need to manage your team effectively. Set a clear vision. Communicate progress in achieving that vision and cultivate trust. Your team will reward you and your company with incredible performance. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Here is the great news. There are more than 7,000 technologies available for advance your content marketing. Here is the bad news. There are more than 7,000 technologies so available to help with your content marketing. Choosing the right ones can feel like a daunting task, so I'm gonna to walk path and approach to help you choose technology that will scale your content marketing. First, identify the goals or pain points where you think technology can help. This will help you focus your selection and what you really need and avoid being overwhelmed. For instance, if you find your team spends a lot of time following up with people who are supposed to review your content, you wanna focus on technology that can help streamline your workflow. As your content marketing program scales, technology will be especially helpful in three areas. Those areas are content operations, content intelligence, and content delivery. Second, conduct a gap analysis of your current technologies. This is matching up what your current technologies can do with your goals and pain points. If you need something that your current technologies can't do, you have a gap. For example, if you want to offer personalized content suggestions to your customers, current content marketing management system can't do that. You have a gap. To help jumpstart your gap analysis, I have media, a worksheet available for you to download to review options with your technology team. It's common these days for marketers to buy technology, but be a good partner to your technology team. I find content marketing technology works best when it integrates well with technologies your company already has. Your technology team can advise on what will integrate best, and they will be more likely to make that integration smooth if you involve them upfront. So the reality is this: one technology will not do it all for your content marketing. Conduct a gap analysis between what you need and what your current technologies can't do. To make your coaches in partnership with your technology team with the right technologies in place, your content marketing will be ready to scale. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Content marketing is not solo endeavor. To scale and success, you need the right people on your team, and you need them in the right roles. And to keep things interesting, those roles will change as your content marketing gets more sophisticated. So let's review three types of roles to consider adding or evolving. First, let's talk about specialist roles. As your content marketing program becomes more sophisticated, changes are you'll need more specialists. You probably have writers, editors, designers, and producers in place. That's great, but consider adding a content analyst to help turn data about your content marketing into actionable insight. If you can add only one specialist, this is the one to add. Personally, if I ever won the lottery, I wouldn't hire a cook or butler. So I would hire a content analyst to help me get constant insight about content. Also consider hiring a content strategist to just identify new opportunities and to use content in savvy ways. For example, a content strategist helps the Weather Channel identify new ways to engage their audience. And finally, you might need a content engineer or two to architect rules and define taxonomy for things like personalization and automation. The great thing about specialist rules is people who are already on your team might be interested in those rules. So instead of hiring them from the outside, you can get your team training to take on those rules. For instance, I want to help large telecommunications company train some writers and editors to become content strategists. So, specializations can be career growth opportunities for your team. Okay, so now let's talk about management rules. As your team grows, you might need to add more content marketing managers or train the ones you have. One thing that is constant in content is change, and the change as amplified if your company is growing, you're adapting. So I highly recommended either hiring a manager with change management experience or getting your managers training in it. And last, let's talk about content marketing leadership rules. Content marketing is such a big deal that is becoming more common for companies to hire an executive rule. This rule advocates for content marketing with other leadership and sets long-term direction for the content marketing program. PepsiCo, Microsoft, G-Crave, and Myriad are only some of the companies that have created executive content roles, and that's great news for you. Content marketing can be long-lasting career path. As you lead your content marketing program to more success, you can propose an executive role at your current company, or you can seek an executive role somewhere else. I see a new one posted just about every day on LinkedIn. So, as your content marketing grows, assemble a constellation of stars who can make your program shine. Consider whether you need more specialists and managers, and don't miss your opportunity to take your leadership to the next level. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Reduce, recycle. It's good for the environment and it's good for your content marketing. Savvy content marketers know how to make the most of their resources and assets. So let's walk for 3 ways you can get even more bang for your content back. The first way is creation. By this I mean promoting old content because it has new relevance for your customers. For instance, the Home Depot has a wealth of useful guides about garden. Do you think they recreate all of that content every spring? Of course not. Instead, when spring rolls around, the Home Depot creates some way new guides and creates many old guides. Of course, buy old content. I don't mean outdated or inaccurate. I simply mean content you create in the past is still high quality. Creation is also handy for responding to trend or crisis. For instance, many people didn't pay much attention to the European Union's privacy regulations known as CTPR when they were debated. But MailChimp did, and they created useful articles about it. When the regulations were enforced, most companies scrambled to comply quickly, but MailChimp didn't scramble to respond. They created content that was already on hand. So let's move on to the second way to make the most of your content assets. It's to reuse your content in different contexts. This is putting content you created for your content marketing in a new scenario, such as customer service or support. For example, I once worked with an online retailer in the food health space to create useful content for customers researching food conditions. This content helped early in their journey to buy. That was great, but we realized that content also would be useful to customers after they bought. So we started using some of that content in confirmation and follow-up emails, which did a great job of preventing returns and encouraging repeat sales. So the third way to maximize your content is to repackage it in a different format. when you don't have to start from scratch. You save a lot of time and resources in creation a new content format. For instance, Intercom repackaged a research report on the history of messaging into a very cool interactive infographic as well as a print book as another example. Tennessee Valley Authority as an amazing archive of photos and video taken throughout its 96-year history. TVA combined those assets with new video to bring its history to life. So, advanced content marketers love to use existing quality content in new ways. As your content marketing program grows, take advantage of opportunities to create, reuse, and repackage your content assets. And watch your return on content investment skyrocket. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Business today is global. Whether you work for a large company or small business, changes are you do business internationally. That means sooner or later you'll need to make your content marketing work for your global markets. So I'm gonna to share 3 practical considerations as you take your content marketing around the world. The first is to consider offering content in a different language, and if you go to make sure you offer it in the right language for the people you wanna reach. For instance, as Caterpillar approached the China market, they choose their languages carefully. The equipment manufacturer research what dialects farmers, construction workers, and others which used the equipment actually spoke. And they choose the most common dialects. If you add another language, then also add more effort to optimize your content for search engines. Moz has fantastic resources to help you to this. So another consideration is adjusting your message. You might find you need to create variations for different global marketers. I once worked with the medical tech company. Kerner Corporation adapts its message and style for different markets. For instance, Kerner's research indicated that customers in the Middle East responded well to very bold messages. But that bold approach replayed customers in other regions, so we create a brief for each global market that outlined how to adapt the core message and style. And finally, consider whether you need to change your content is presentation. This is about everything from your contents, accessibility to its look and feel. Customers in a different country or region might use different device and social media sites. They also might have different internet and content habits. Don't assume they can and will access your content in the same way your core market does. I suggest looking at research by Hootsuite and Merrymakers and Newell Productions. And different regions and cultures respond to colors and style differently. I once worked on a healthy content marketing project for several countries in Latin America, so we vested our search material, which used very subtle colors against other options. The option with very bold colors and fonts tested the best, hand down. So, if you can get feedback on simplies of your content from customers in the region. Globalization is real for business and it's real for your content marketing. Assess whether to change your content language, messaging, and presentation for your global markets. While you might incur some costs, your efforts will pay off with content that customers love around the world. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. The heart is what makes it great. Tom Hanks speaks those words as a coach in the baseball movie, a luggage of their own when his best amateur player becomes surprised and overwhelmed by how hard winning at the professional level really is. I find a lot of people who start content marketing are like that baseball player. They get into it because writing stories or shooting videos or taking pictures is fun or rewarding. That's fantastic, but when you go pro, things get hard. One of the hardest things to do in content marketing is to keep a steady supply of effective content in your pipeline. But that's also what will make your content marketing great and win. So first consider using a content supply chain. A content supply chain is the network of people and activities that take your content from an idea to real articles or videos or other assets. I find people use the term most often to refer to the challenge of creating or searching enough content without breaking your budget. For example, when Don and Bradstreet started their successful content marketing program, the CMO Rishi Dev established the supply chain that involved most of his marketing department. And his mantra was, it takes a village. And a similar way, if you think about a content supply chain early and involve your co-workers and managers at the start, your content marketing program will be more likely to success. So now that you have a sense of what a content supply chain is, I want to highlight a few ways to fit it. The first and obvious way is for you or your team to create the content. So that means you take the content from an idea to its final form. For example, the messaging platform Intercom has a team of people devoted to creating useful content. So does the content operations platform gather content. As your content marketing takes off, you will quickly find that is hard to supply enough content this way. You can augment your content supply by having other people create content for you. Consider how other employees, partners, or even your own customers can contribute effective content. The Home Depot is an excellent example of using this approach. The retailer offers guides, tips, and much more created by their store associations, don't partners, with do-it-yourself expertise and enthusiastic customers offer detailed reviews or inspire others to take on projects like theirs. In a similar way, your company likely has people in its network who are potential sources of useful content. Not that you or your team won't be off the hook completely. You'll need to put an effort, such as provide guidelines to ensure the content that others produce works for your customers. Let's look at one other way to fill your pipeline. Buy content from others. So you can buy anything from photos to content feeds to entire content experience, such as websites. A simple example, you can buy professional photography from sites like iStock and Getty Images. As a more complex example, in 2012, L'Oreal bought the successful website makeup.com to jumpstart its content marketing program. As you plan your content supply chain, so you can consider when buying might be an advantage. For L'Oreal, the benefit of buying a large content experience was speed. Instead of taking months to build a new site and supply it with quality content, L'Oreal bought a site that was already doing that. So Tom Hanks was right. What makes everything from baseball to content marketing hard to win is what makes it great. Supplying content is much harder than you might expect, but when you plan a content supply chain early, you will more likely conquer the challenge. And you just might win the content marketing game the way Don and Brit Street, the Home Depot and L'Oreal did. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Business measure what matters. If you want your content marketing to matter to your employer or client, you need to measure its impact. Regularly evaluate for how your content marketing makes a difference. To help you start, I'm sharing the 4 S's of assessing advanced content marketing. The first is subscribes. Watch whether your email and mobile notification opt-ins are growing. A rising number of subscribers is a strong indicator that customers like your content and they will return to it regularly. And this list become an audience you can always reach no matter what happens to the algorithm is Google and social media sites. So let's move on to the second is of sentiment. Watch whether customers perceive your content and your company positively. Positive sentiment is strong indicator that your content is boosting your brand reputation and customer satisfaction. So, tools such as Houtsite and BrandWatch measure sentiment on social media and other channels. Tools such as Context Variax measure content sentiment on website and other digital experiences. And tools such as iPerceptions and Force and can shed light on the connection of content to customer satisfaction. And the 30 as is sales. This is about the impact your content has on making money. If your content assists in a sale, it helps make money. The challenge is tracking when that happens. And this challenge is even bigger if your business has a long sales cycle because customers might visit your content several times over the course of weeks and months before they actually buy. You can overcome this challenge by adding your content marketing to your company's attribution model. So, an attribution model is essentially how your company decides to give credit to different touch points in sale. Your content deserves craft. So, and after your attribution model is updated, your analytics tools can track it. Google Analytics, so Adobe Analytics and HubSpot have great resources to help ensure tracking attribution works well. And the 40 is self-service. This is about the impact your content has on saving money. If your content answers questions instead of a person, you're probably saving your company money. I find many content marketers overlook this potential benefit of their content. So check whether customers use your content to answer a customer service or technical support questions. Your analytics tools as well as a content evaluation tool like Content VRX can help you verify that. And check whether customer support calls or email inquires about these questions have decreased. If your content marketing does not impact self-service, that's okay. Your boss is probably more interested in sales impact, but it's worth checking to show full value for your content marketing. So if you aren't measuring its impact, so your content marketing might as well as not exist. Advanced content marketers keep an eye on subscribe sentiment, so sales and self-service. When you show your content makes a difference, you set your content marketing program up for success. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. What the companies like Untiot, Netflix, and Google have in common? A culture of optimization. They run literally thousands of experiments and tests each year. The exciting thing is you can create a culture of optimization about your content because testing your content takes time and resources. It's wise to focus on areas where change can make a big difference to your goals. So let's look at 3 situations to employ testing to optimize your content is impact. The first situation is making good content performance even better. This is all about making promoting content reach its potential. For example, home security company Billing Consultancy trials different combinations of text and images for its onboarding email as well as other content. Each winner then face off against a new version until Billing knows they had the best combination of content. Optimization is just part of business as usual. Similarly, retailer Adore Me tests multiple versions of images and has found that even subtle changes in a model's position can double sales. The second situation is fixing content that is underperforming. Testing can help to identify the cause so you can solve the problem. And it's usually more cost effective to fix a problem than to scrap the content entirely. For instance, when the American Cancer Society ran into issue with a web page about one of its programs, it looked at the data and realized the page was trying to cater to 2 distinct audiences. In doing so, the content was leaving both groups with more questions than answers and lots of frustration. So the team successfully recognized the content and offered pages tailored to each audience. The new approach reduced calls and email inquiries with basic questions about the program. And more importantly, the change helped increase sign-ups to the program. And finally, let's talk about how you can test new content opportunities. If you wanna to take your content to next level or capitalize on an opportunity, think about questions such as how can we meet the interests, needs and expectations expressed by our customers? How could we package content differently? How could we monetize content more effectively? Netflix is prime example. After its success with House of Cards, a big experiment there, it has developed new hits ranging from Devil the Crown and in expanding beyond the US. Netflix has painstakingly translated and localized content for every international market and being rewarded with explosive growth. To help you make optimization part of your content culture, I have included a list of great tools and resources. Optimizely, ContentWorks and HubSpot are just a few of the tools that can assist. So, take inspiration from Unit, Google, and Netflix. Create a culture of optimization around your content. Focus on making good content perform even better. Avoiding costly problems and taking advantage of new opportunities, your content will have more impact than you thought possible. Hi everyone, I am Sadık Vural. Only 33% of content professionals calculate content ROI, but they report the most success and support from their companies. If you want your company to invest more in your content marketing, so you need to articulate how it brings a return. So to help you start, I'm gonna to share their elements of formulation ROI first. Get clear about the cost of your content marketing program. In other words, how does your program spend money? Example, costs are the people you hire, your tool subscriptions, your advertising spend, and agencies or content partners you hire. If you're not sure, don't be embarrassed. I come across many content marketing, so professionals who don't know what their budget is. And a lot of times that's because content marketing started as an experiment with some leftover money from another budget. The good news is you can fix that. As your content marketing program grows, it's easy to make the case that you need to understand how the program is spending money. Next, identify how your content marketing contributes to revenue. This is why tracking the impact of your content marketing is so important. Calculate how your content marketing makes a difference to sales. For instance, the Home Depot tracks when a customer uses a project guide or buying guide and then eventually makes a purchase. And if you monetize your content in other ways, don't forget to include that it's still revenue. For example, both Cleveland Clinic and Mayo Clinic earn revenue through advertising on their content, and Red Bull earns revenue for licensing its content. And still another example, Outside charges a fee for its more in-depth training content. Finally, assess additional value that your content marketing brings to the company. This value might seem intangible, but it makes a big difference to the business. For instance, Guy has publicly created content marketing with reinvigorations its repetitions after it took a dip in 2012. A strong repetition makes a difference to everything from how well your content ranks in search to how quickly customers buy from you, to how investors value your stock. If the impact of content marketing on repetition matters to GE, it should matter to your company. So don't be like the 77% of content professionals who ignore ROI. Set your content marketing program up for more investment by explaining how it brings a return with more of the right resource at your disposal. Your content marketing can reach its potential.